Welcome back to Moonlight Lore, and happy Halloween to you all. I'm your host, Jordan Hopkins, and as you may have guessed from the title of this episode, we are going to be talking about games of terror that you, the listener, could also play if you wished. Though, whether or not you should, I'll leave that up to you to decide. Conveniently, you might be listening to this episode on its release date, meaning tomorrow is Halloween, which may or may not be the perfect time for some of you to try out some of these games if you happen to be with some of your friends. Some of these games do require multiple people to play, so what better time to try some of them than while at a spooky Halloween party? With that being said, you're probably wanting me to get right into the game so you can figure out what to play and how to play them. As the episode progresses, the games will begin to get more intense and more dangerous. So again, depending on your own superstitions or beliefs, play these games at your own risk. You never know which one of these games might actually work. One of the most famous games to play in the dark that we all know and love is that of Bloody Mary, and it's with this game we will begin our show. Rituals to summon this spectral entity from mirrors have been somewhat of a rite of passage to prove our bravery as children, but the theme of Bloody Mary is by no means new. Starting sometime in the 19th century, games that involved mirrors and seeing things in their reflection have been commonplace in many homes in many different countries. People used to believe if they walked backwards up a staircase, but also passed by a mirror while doing so, they would see one of two things. The reflection of a ghostly face, which was supposed to show you who the person you would eventually marry would be, or a skull, meaning you would die before you would get a chance to be wed. Bloody Mary, though, seemed to have made an appearance sometime in North America back in the 1970s. Her identity is often argued. Some say she is a vengeful spirit of a witch who had been burned alive at the stake. Perhaps she's a mournful mother who had once lost her child, and when she hears other children call out for her from the other side of the mirror, she appears with the goal of taking them back from where she came. Or she might be Mary Tudor, the Queen of England from the 1500s who was nicknamed and known as Bloody Mary for the number of executions she brought down on the Protestant population. Regardless of who she might be, everyone is in agreement. She is a woman who comes from an unknown realm to extract some kind of harm onto those who call out for her. The caller's only goal, surviving the encounter. For those looking to challenge her, this is what you'll need. An indoor playing space capable of providing complete darkness for you to play in. Typically, bathrooms are the locations where this game has been played in the past, simply for the convenience of a mirror already being in there. And some bathrooms also lack windows, which makes it easier to keep the light out. If you do end up playing in a space that happens to have a window, be sure to have blackout curtains on it so that no light from outside can shine through. Also be sure to block off the crack from under the door and unplug any electronics that might give off any form of glow. Basically, just make it so incredibly dark it would be impossible to even see your hand an inch away from your face. Of course, as we already know, be sure to have a mirror handy. I don't believe it matters what size, but I imagine the bigger the better so that you may see a larger portion of the room in the reflection, so that you may spot Mary when she comes. Next, the only other things you'll need are a candle and a match to light it with. I'll warn you right now, you may have to get rid or destroy the mirror afterwards. If she appears, Mary will know of the mirror's existence and will try to revisit you or escape from it completely. When you are finally ready to play the game and night has fallen, take your supplies, the candle and matches, to the room you'll be playing in, and get ready for the clock to strike midnight. You don't necessarily have to be alone, but being alone apparently gives the best results. And when you're ready to start, turn off the lights, strike your match, and light the candle, which is to be placed directly in front of the mirror. From this point, stare into the mirror and into the eyes of your reflection. Begin repeating her name, Bloody Mary, over and over up to 13 times. Continue to stare into the mirror, but back away slowly, just beyond arm's reach, and look around the room through the mirror's reflection. Bloody Mary is said to appear in several different forms. The reason you should back away from the mirror after the chant is because her ghostly face may appear in the mirror and she'll attempt to reach out for you. Take great care as to not to let her touch you. She will do her best to take you back to where she comes from. On some rare occasions, people have even reported spotting her already having made her way outside of the mirror, hiding as a shadowy figure just behind an individual or a shower curtain. If she does appear outside the mirror, quickly blow out the candle, turn on the lights, and leave the room as fast as you can. It's probably best to shatter the mirror after you're done playing. It's better to do this during the day so she may not find the mirror again and venture through it to grab you when you least expect it. The point of this game is to allow you to come face to face with a paranormal entity, even though it's known to be an entity bent on doing you harm. What you'll get out of it, though, are bragging rights to tell your friends and to prove your bravery in the face of the unknown. Though if you're looking for a real challenge and an even better way to prove your bravery, this next game might just be the one you've been waiting for. Searching for paranormal evidence and attempting to prove there is more about our world than we really know about has been an interest many people have made careers out of. One of the very first methods of attempting to capture proof of paranormal activity is photo evidence. Spirit photography had been a part of the spiritualist movement that took place back in the 19th century, but those who claimed to have captured ghosts or spirits on film were often found out to have been frauds. Through techniques like double exposure, they had fooled people into believing they had captured the spectral image of someone long lost to us. But now, luckily for us, we have what's known as the picture game that allows us to capture not only the image of a ghost, but also trap it inside the photograph itself. At least that's what people who started playing the game back in 2010 believed. To start, you'll need to gather up some of your friends. At the very least, you need 2 other people, but others are more than welcome to join in. Gather everyone into one room, turn off the lights, and get ready to begin. Unlike with Bloody Mary, it's not essential to have the room in complete darkness, but of course, the darker the better. The supplies you will need to have on you are compact hand mirrors for each player, a long string or rope to form a circle on the floor that all players can sit comfortably around. You will need a single knife or some scissors that are able to easily cut the rope, a camera with a flash, this could be possibly done with your cell phone with a flash, and finally you will need a drinking glass with some sort of beverage. Apparently for the best results, the beverage should be alcohol of some kind. Ideally it should be wine, but any drink could possibly work. The wine just gives the best results apparently. When the clock finally strikes midnight, gather your supplies and players to the playing space. Close the curtains and form your circle with the string. After you've tied the 2 ends of the string together to form your complete circle, place it on the floor in the middle of the room, and then set the drinking glass in the middle of it. Pour your wine or drink of choice into the glass and turn off the lights. Be sure to double check that the flash of your camera is turned on and ready to take the picture, but do not place the camera into the circle. Once all the players have gathered and are sitting around and on the edge of the circle, have each player place their mirror directly in front of them with the reflective side facing upwards towards the ceiling. Everyone must then close their eyes and reach out for the hands of the people sitting on both sides of them. Keeping your eyes closed one by one, each player must proclaim their complete trust in the other players out loud. Do not speak over one another. When another player is speaking, remain silent until they are done. But overall, every player must proclaim their trust in everyone however they want. It can be simply just saying out loud, "I trust everyone here," or you could go into more depth about why you trust everyone. It doesn't really matter. It's after everyone has stated their trust out loud, may you all speak in unison. Everyone must say the words, "The door has been opened. Please come in." It's here you may finally open your eyes and unlink your hands from one another. The person with the camera must then pick it up, say out loud, "I capture you," and snap a single photo with the flash on at the person who's sitting directly opposite from them on the other side of the circle. After you have taken the photo, do not linger and take a peek at the photo. Simply pass the camera to the person to your left, and they do the same. Each person must take a photo of the person sitting opposite of them and continue passing the camera around the circle 3 times so that everyone has taken a picture exactly 3 times. Now, this is the part where somebody might start acting strangely or not feeling well. If this is the case, skip that person and pass the camera on to the next person over. If multiple people begin feeling strange and acting odd, end the game immediately by everyone closing their eyes, linking their hands again and chanting in unison 3 times, "It's time to go home now." But if you manage to get the camera around the circle 3 times without anyone acting strange, that's a good sign you are very close to your goal. Once the camera has come to the person who started, they must set it down, taking great care as to not set it into the circle. And again, all players must end the game in the way I had just mentioned. Once this is done, unlink your hands, open your eyes, and everyone must flip their mirrors upside down so that the reflective glass is now facing the floor. The person sitting closest to the light switch can leave the circle to turn it on, and whoever has a scissors or knife must cut the string or rope circle in a single spot to break it. Take the glass of wine outside and dump the contents onto a patch of dirt and return inside. And once this is all done, this is where you can finally all inspect your photos. Look closely at each one. Most will probably not have anything notable in them, but there should be a few, or maybe just one, that might have a figure in them. A figure shrouded in mist or shadow might be seen in the background, or perhaps a near invisible hand might be draped over a player's shoulder. You never do know what you might see in the picture game, but one thing's for sure, whatever spirit you end up trapping in your picture may not appreciate you doing so. Have you ever traveled somewhere unknown for the first time? Were you prepared to arrive at your destination, or were you fearful of what you might find? Traversing into the unknown has been a desire of humankind ever since we could walk. Our inquisitive minds long for an experience of something new. The elevator game might be what provides satisfaction to our cravings, though where it might take you, you may not have the ability to return from. Superstitions surrounding elevators have been around since they first became commonplace. As with all new technology, there were plenty of people hesitant on even using them, as they feared what would happen once those doors closed. In our modern day, elevators are equipped with numerous safety measures meant to make sure we arrive at our destinations safe and sound. But there are still a few superstitious people out there who believe elevators can possibly take you somewhere else, to a place not listed with the other floor buttons. For many of us, playing the elevator game might not be possible, but for those living in an apartment building with multiple floors, 10 at the very least, you could very well test out if the rumors of this game are true. Now, where you might end up, nobody truly knows. It could be a different dimension, a new reality, or to a completely other world. But if you're brave enough to find out, here's what you'll need to do. As I mentioned before, you just need a working elevator in a building that is at least 10 stories tall. And then you must memorize this sequence of numbers. These will be the floors you will go to in this order: 4, 2, 6, 2, 10, 5. It doesn't matter what time of day or night you play, but it's probably best to play late at night, when there is a smaller chance of other passengers coming along to ride the elevator and ruining the sequence. You are also supposed to be the only person in the elevator, so bringing along friends is not an option. This being said, it's important you start on the main floor. Once you have entered the elevator from there, hit the number 4 button and head to your first stop. When the doors open on the 4th floor, do not disembark. Simply stay put in the elevator and wait for the doors to close again. As soon as the doors close, hit the 2nd floor button. Work your way through the sequence this way, and do not press any other buttons aside from the floors I told you. Your instinct might tell you to hit the closed door button to hurry the game along, but hold off on doing this. Just allow the elevator to move at its own pace. Once you've made it through the sequence and arrive on the 5th floor, someone may enter. People have reported encountering a young woman walking onto the elevator with them, though she isn't what she seems. Under no circumstances speak a word to her or even look at her. If you need to, close your eyes. She might try to talk to you, either by greeting you with a hello or asking you for some sort of help, but don't engage in conversation with her ever. Upon the doors closing on the 5th floor, hit the 1st floor button and ride the elevator with the woman. One of two things will happen at this point. If the elevator heads down to the 1st floor and the doors open to where you started this game, walk off the elevator and don't look back. Simply keep walking until the doors close. The game has ended and unfortunately has failed. But if the elevator heads up to the 10th floor instead of the 1st, get ready. You are about to enter a new world. Upon arriving at the 10th floor, people have reported several different things. The mysterious woman that had been riding with you may walk off and leave, and this floor might seem like any other floor that you have seen while playing the game, but something unexplainable will seem off. Now you are faced with two options here. Either depart the elevator and enter this new world, or stay put. If you decide to stay in the elevator and return home, hit the 1st floor button to get you back. It may not work at first, and you may have to hit it a few times for it to finally work, but just keep hitting it until it does. Again, once you made it back to the 1st floor where you started, exit the elevator and don't look back at it until the doors have closed. However, if by chance you decided to get off the elevator at the 10th floor, feel free to explore a bit. This new world will be a little different than this one. It's hard to say what will be different, but people who claim to have done this and have gone to this other world have said everything seems to be fairly off from what it's supposed to be. Most notably, every light will be turned off, and if you look out a window, you will see nothing but a red glowing cross off in the distance. Be careful not to venture too far from the elevator. The further you travel and the longer you spend in this new world, the harder it will be for you to find your way back. Time and space will seem a little different here, so you may become tired and panicked when you find yourself unable to find your way home. If you do manage to stay near the elevator and when you are ready to return, you must enter the same elevator you came into this world with. Now, do you remember the sequence of numbers that brought you here? You need to hit the numbers in the same order you had before. 4, 2, 6, 2, 10, 5. Again, upon following the sequence and making it to the 5th floor, you must hit the 1st floor button. Now there's a 50-50 chance of it returning you to the main floor where you can safely depart, but the other 50% chance is the elevator will attempt to take you back to the 10th floor. Do not let this happen. If you return to the 10th floor a second time and arrive in the other world again, the elevator will not allow you to leave a second time, and you will be stuck there. If this is the case and the elevator starts to ascend from the 5th to the 10th, attempt hitting any other floor button to stop the sequence from happening. You only have 4 chances to stop the elevator before it reaches the 10th floor. Try your hardest to make the elevator stop on floors 6, 7, 8, or 9. And if by chance you do make it to the ground floor where you started, proceed with caution too. Before leaving the elevator, take a quick look around. You may not be out of the woods just yet. Make sure your surroundings look the way they had been when you began the game. If anything looks different or feels off, repeat the sequence over and over until you're sure you've made it safely back to this world. You can then depart the elevator once you are positive that you have made it back home. But again, be careful when using this particular elevator again. It may just bring you back to the mysterious world once more, against your will. This will be our final game in the first half of the episode, and I would say probably our most wholesome of the whole show. For those of you who aren't able, for whatever reason, to have friends over tonight while listening, perhaps due to COVID restrictions or your friends are busy or whatever the cause, this might be your chance to have your own party. As with most of the games I've been talking about on here, and will continue to talk about, majority of the spirits or ghouls who have the potential to be summoned during one of these games are typically malicious in nature, only coming forth to attempt some sort of harm against you. However, in this game, you'll be still summoning and inviting spirits into your home, but they'll just be much more friendlier. The hosting game, as it's known by, is by all means a party game. As I said at the beginning of the show, most of these games could be played during your Halloween party if you were looking to entertain your guests. But what happens if you don't have any guests? What if I told you you could still have a party, but the attendees will be a little on the dead side? Most shouldn't be malicious, as I mentioned, just some spectral entities looking to hang out. But I will warn you, as with any party, there might be party crashers who are unwanted. For the hosting game to work, you'll need a small empty room, preferably one with no windows, but if there are windows, simply just covering them up works just fine. And if there happens to be a walk-in closet, that's even better. As for supplies, you will need an analog watch or a clock. A digital one or a cell phone can't be used during this ritual. You will also need a pen and paper, 3 matches, and possibly a flashlight or battery-powered lantern if the room you have chosen lacks a light source. Wait until night shows up so it's nice and dark outside, and start by turning off every source of light and noise in your home. That would mean microwaves, television, alarm clock, everything. The only exception to this rule is the flashlight or lantern you are using. Once everything has been checked and turned off, head into your hosting room and turn on the light. Or if it doesn't have a light, turn on your flashlight or lantern. Exit the room, but leave the light on and the door open wide. And now finally you can start inviting your guests to your party. Go to the room that is furthest away from the hosting room and yell out loud, "I'll be ready soon." Begin traveling from room to room in your home, making your way closer to the hosting room. In each room you visit, repeat the phrase I had just said until you finally made your way back to the hosting room. Using the pen and paper, write down your invitation. For an example, I will use my own name, and also use of your watch will come into play here. You will have to write down the current time, and then also an hour from the current time. So for this example, I will just say the start time is 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. You're invited, a gathering hosted by Jordan Hopkins, between 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. Friends, welcome. And that's it. Pretty simple, right? Once you're done writing this, position the paper on the floor in the middle of the hosting room, and walk to the doorway and stand in it, ready to meet and greet your guests. Face into the hosting room and say, "I'm ready, come on in," and then shut off the light and turn around with your back to the room. Now your matches come into play. Take all 3 out to hold in your hand and count to 10, but do not look behind you while doing so. Upon reaching 10, strike the first match and let it burn while you hold it, and begin greeting your guests without turning around. Be polite and friendly and welcoming to them. Thank them for coming and show you are a good host. Keep holding on to the match as long as you can until it becomes too hot to hold and before it scorches your fingers. However, if the first match doesn't start on its first strike, that's not a good sign, and you need to quickly take the second match and light it. Either way, if the first match did or didn't light, you have to light the second match anyways. After striking the second match, continue welcoming your guests into your home and telling them how happy you are for them coming. Again, do this until the match burns down to your fingertips and prepare to light the third. As is the same with the first match, if the second match doesn't light on the first strike, quickly light the third one. Starting the third match, the last of your guests should have arrived, and you can begin counting to 10 again, holding the burning match for as long as you can. Once you finish counting, you can safely extinguish the match and start to listen. Still with your back facing the hosting room, see if you can hear or feel any whispering, rustling behind you, or someone thanking you with a gentle, soft voice. Keeping your back to the room, watch your clock or watch and wait for an hour. When the party is close to ending, bid your guests farewell, but be sure not to tell them to come back soon. It might seem rude to leave that part out, but it's for your own safety. Once your watch or clock has struck an hour from when the party began, you may walk away from the room after bidding your guests goodbye and turn on the closest light there is from the hosting room. The party has ended and you are safe to look into the room once more. Now, this game wouldn't be a game of terror if there wasn't just a little bit of danger involved. Remember, if one of the matches didn't light on the first strike, well, if both the first two and then the final third didn't light, it means you have an uninvited guest entering the party, and it's in your best interest to run as fast as you can to the nearest light switch. Once you have turned on the light, it ends the party and your guests will have all left. It might actually be a good idea to take note of the closest light switch outside the hosting room so you can prepare to run to it, just in case. Aside from a possible uninvited guest or two coming to the party, the only other downside to this game is you yourself don't necessarily get to enjoy it. The main goal of this game is to have a party, but unfortunately you don't really get to be a part of it. But then again, isn't being a good host means you make sure everyone else is having a good time? I hope you've been enjoying the episode so far. We're at the halfway point in the show, 4 games down and still 4 to go. Those first 4 were just the warm-up games, as I've saved the best for the second half. These next 4 will surely test your bravery. The next game we are delving into is definitely one you could play with a large group of people during a Halloween party, mainly for the fact that you need exactly 10 participants to make it work. Have you ever had questions you wanted answered? Questions that no one else could give answers for, but still burned in the back of your mind, causing you to wonder, what if there was someone who could give you that relief? Someone who was more than willing to give you the insight on anything you might want to know. It was born into creation as recently as around the early 2000s and has origins in Japan. It requires the use of modern technology we all know and love. The little rectangle sitting in your pocket you may be using to listen to this very episode has been rumored to have the power to bring forth the Answer Man. Now, this game requires the use of 10 participants, no more and no less, and a large space where you all will not be disturbed. So say someone's living room for an example. What you will all need to have to play this game are your cell phones, one for each participant. Though be warned, at the end of the game, you must destroy the 10 cell phones for a very important reason I will share in a bit. But buying a cheap, disposable cell phone will work just as fine so long as it can make and receive phone calls, and you all have each other's numbers logged into your phones. Once you have gathered up your 10 players, each armed with their own disposable phone, each player should write down a list of questions they wish to be answered. It's easiest if you pass around a single sheet of paper for everyone to write their questions on, as only one person will be asking the questions. But whatever the case, all questions are fair game. After everyone has gotten their questions written down, all 10 must gather in the playing area and sit or stand in a circle. Each player will then pass their own cell phone to the player to their right and prepare to simultaneously count to 3. Upon reaching 3, each player will then call the phone to their left. So this would mean the player who had given you their phone, you would now call the phone that was handed to them by another player, with the phone that was handed to you. It is very important to get the timing just right here so that every person's cell phone is being called at exactly the right time to make sure the game can continue. You'll know very quickly though if it works or not because one or two things will happen. If all 10 players and their cell phones receive a line is busy signal or are sent a voicemail, the game has failed and you have to try again later. The other outcome is 9 players will receive a line is busy signal or be sent to voicemail, while the random 10th player's call will go through to someone. And that someone is, of course, the Answer Man. It is imperative to have the question sheet ready to go here. He doesn't like to wait. What happens next is a give and take. You can ask him any question you have written down or one you can think of off the top of your head, but it's important for the other participants who aren't on the phone with him to remain silent, as it can be difficult to hear what he might say. Whatever he says, commit it to memory or write it down, but don't speak when he is speaking. It's here the give part comes. Once he has answered your question, he will ask one of his own, and you must answer it with complete honesty and as correctly as you can. Do not try to spin the truth or conveniently leave anything out. He'll know when you are lying. If he deems your answer to be satisfactory, you may ask him another. This can go on for as long as you wish. An answer for an answer. He wants to know you and know about you, so he will continue to ask. It is important to remember never to pass the phone to another player. Whoever answers the phone when he calls is the person he must speak to. This also means you must not have speakerphone on. What he has to say is for your ears only. If at any time you want to end the game, or you have run out of questions to ask him, this is where he becomes a little more threatening. To end the game, you must thank him for his time and for answering your questions and that you have to go. He will then speak up and tell you that he has free information he wants to share with you. No questions required, and no need to answer any of his. Do not believe this. His goal is to keep you on the phone longer and to learn more about you and where you are. The information he offers is never free, and do not show interest or agree to stay on the line longer. You cannot hang up on him, or it will make him angry and cause him to call you back at a different time. All you can do is become a broken record and keep repeating the words, "Thank you for your time, but I have to go now," over and over again, and say nothing else. Eventually, he will get tired of hearing you say this and will tell you goodbye and to hang up. The instant the call has ended, you must gather up all the phones that have been used to play the game and destroy them any way you can and dispose of the remains. The further you can distance yourself from any contact with him, the better. The game comes with risk. The answer man will try his hardest to convince you to stay on the call with him. If you choose to do so, be warned. The information he offers to share with you will not be free, and will try to purposely pose it in a question that you will end up answering. It'll be impossible, and you will never be able to give an answer that meets his satisfaction. What you risk of losing is something. At first, you might feel a numbing sensation on part of your body. Depending on how good you answered the impossible question, it could be something as small as a loss of a finger. You'll lose feeling in it, then lose control until it's dead. Perhaps it will be the loss of an entire limb, or it could be something more valuable and essential to your body, like a lung, eye, or maybe your heart. If you give him a little of what he wants, he'll always want more. If you fall for his tricks, he'll get what he wants. And if you don't follow the rules of the game, he'll become enraged, and he will find you. For those who have been watching Netflix lately, you may be familiar with their incredibly popular series known as Squid Game, a large group of people playing intense versions of schoolyard games, attempting to be the last player and win a large pot of money. The cost of losing one of these games, however, is elimination in the form of a bullet to the head. The first game the participants of the show play is the popular and famous game known as Red Light, Green Light. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this game, the person who is it calls out green light and turns around with their back to the players. The players then attempt to get to the other side of the playing field to tag the person who is it, so they can become it for the next round. But while the participants move, the person who is it can shout out red light and turn around. If any of the participants are caught moving after red light has been called, they need to return to the starting line. Of course, for those of you who have watched Squid Game, you know those who are caught moving after red light has been declared are shot by a rifle and are eliminated completely. In this game I'm about to share, the consequences of losing are just as deadly and are much more intimidating than that of a gun. The bath game is what we call it in North America, but in Japan, where it originates from, it's called Daruma-san ga Koronda. Essentially, the game is red light, green light, but the catch is, you play it with an onryo, a vengeful yokai spirit from Japanese folklore, who was known for her long black hair and white dress, and also widely known from the popular horror movie known as The Grudge. In the game, she acts as the pursuer, the one you must stop from reaching you. If she catches you, well, that's game over for you. What is required to start the game is to have a playing space that has a bathtub. If the location you wish to play in doesn't have a bathtub, you must find a place that does, and spend the night there. Before going to bed, fill the tub with water, turn off the lights, and cautiously get into the tub. Close your eyes and begin washing your hair while repeating the words, Daruma-san fell down, Daruma-san fell down, Daruma-san fell down, until your hair is finally clean, all while keeping your eyes shut. Now it's here, one of two things might happen. The first thing you may experience is a vision, one of a young woman with long, tangled black hair, the bathtub you're sitting in, and some form of terrible accident. It's unclear what the accident might be, but it can vary from person to person. Or, instead of a vision, you might feel something move under the water in the tub with you. If either of these occur, do not panic, but keep your eyes shut. The game has started, and by only saying these words out loud, "Why did you fall in the bathtub?" can you finally stand out of the water and exit the tub, Be careful when you do so, because you still are not allowed to open your eyes. It might help if you lay some towels on the floor in the bathroom to keep you from slipping. The last thing you want is to slip and fall into the tub. Keeping and leaving everything as it was when you had gotten into the tub, do not drain the water. Leave the bathroom and close the door behind you. Do not open the door anytime after this, not until the game has concluded. Once the door has been closed, you are now free to open your eyes and head to bed. Be sure to keep all the lights off and try to sleep, if you can. While the game has indeed started, you need not to worry about anything happening to you while you sleep. It's when you finally open your eyes in the morning and rise from bed, will the game finally and truly begin. Go about your day as if everything is normal, but be sure to stay alert and on your guard. You may feel as if you're being watched or followed by someone. You won't see them, but they are there. She will be nearly invisible to you, but she is there, watching you, following you, trying to learn your routine and your weaknesses. If you turn around, she won't be there. But a trick you can learn, and should learn, in order to survive, is to use your peripheral vision. Slightly look over your right shoulder, but not too far. You may see her quickly dart behind a tree or duck under a vehicle to hide from you. It will be near impossible, but you still have a chance this way. As the day drags on, she will get closer and closer. Keep her from getting closer by constantly looking behind you. She can't move if you're looking in the direction she's in, but she's relentless, and you can't check behind you all the time. She will eventually give you a clue when she's close to you. You might hear her breathing, just over your shoulder. If you feel she is getting too close for comfort, shout out the word "Tomer," or "stop," and run away as fast as you can. By doing this, you can distance yourself from her, and can go longer through the day before she gets close again. But be careful not to abuse this power. Shouting the word "Tomer" will become less effective as the day drags on, and she will unfreeze from her position sooner the more you use it. Try your best to avoid areas with water or dark spaces. If you venture near these places, it gives her a bit of a boost, so to speak, and will get closer to you faster. The game nears its end when the day is also ended, and night has arrived. Close to the same time when you had taken the bath the night before and summoned her, you must shout out the word "Kita" to cut her loose. Swing your arm down in a cutting motion as you turn around to face her. This must be done when she doesn't expect it. If you're too slow, she may be able to hide or sneak away, causing the command to not have any effect on her, and the game will continue. The first try is crucial to success. If you mess it up on the first try, she will be aware you are trying to end the game, and she will be on high alert. If she manages to survive and the game goes on past midnight, she will have won. When you go to sleep, she will appear in your dreams and take control of your mind. However, if you manage to end the game, congratulations, you won. But take great consideration if you try to play the game again. The next time she is summoned, she will respawn the same distance away as she had been when she lost the first time, meaning she may just be a few inches away, and you may not have enough time to yell out the commands to stop or end the game. Although our primal fear of the dark is something many people are capable of suppressing, it never does quite go away. For all of human history, we have worried about what lurks in the shadows just beyond the threshold of our sight, and the superstitions surrounding closets had developed early in many of our childhoods. The simple fact was, closets were mysterious. They are a rarely visited area in our homes and not only hold articles of clothing, but also an incredible amount of darkness. As our developing and imaginative adolescent minds raced to fill in the blanks of what might be hidden in the shadows of our closets, our fears of what might lurk inside developed and grew into something even many adults still find disturbing. In the closet game, we venture into the dark to purposely attempt to come face to face with one of those entities we have feared all our lives. What this entity might be or where it comes from, nobody really knows. From those brave enough to attempt this game, The common agreement of what emerges from the unknown is that of malicious intent. If you want to challenge your fears and tempt the terrifying forces from beyond, here's what you'll need to do. Find a location that best suits you and has access to a closet you can comfortably walk in or sit in. Walk-in closets are best, but any closet large enough for you to walk inside of will work. Be warned, it might be best to pick a closet you don't use as often or are less likely to be around in your day-to-day. A vacant guest room in your home would be best as it's less likely to be used by you. When night finally comes, turn off all the lights in the room where the closet is located. Draw the curtains closed and take a book of matches inside the closet with you. Once you enter, close the door behind you so you are in a pitch black environment. If there is any light coming inside the closet, the game won't work, so be sure to make sure that you can't see any light coming in from under the door. While standing up, face the back of the closet door and count to 2 minutes. Since it'll be so dark in the closet, you won't be able to use any clock or watch, so staying completely still and silent means you must count the 2 minutes in your head. After you have counted for 2 minutes, hold out a single match in your hand towards the closed door and say these words: "Show me in light or leave me in darkness." Only say this once and listen intently to your surroundings. If you hear nothing, open the door and leave the closet. The ritual has failed. But if you did happen to hear something behind you, it's important you do not turn around to face it. It will most likely be a hissing sound or perhaps a whisper. It's extremely important to light your match as soon as you hear any sort of noise in the closet with you. If the first match fails to light another one as fast as you can. You need to light it before it's too late. Once you have the match safely lit, slowly open the door in the closet and step out of it, closing the door behind you. But be careful not to look back at the closet and take great care as to not let your match go out during this process. The light is the only thing holding it back. You have now just welcomed this entity into your home, and it's here it will stay. Keep your closet door closed from now on. There's a reason why you need to pick one you rarely use. If you do happen to need to open the door and go inside for whatever reason, be sure to have plenty of light inside and outside the closet to protect yourself. Otherwise, make sure it stays shut. Be cautious when entering the room itself too. If you walk in and aren't quick enough to turn on the light, you might find the closet door has opened ever so slightly, meaning whatever you summoned in there may now be in the room with you. Despite being warned not to, those who have dared play this game have reported seeing two glowing eyes of fire staring back at them from the darkness when they had to open the door. Who knows for sure what sort of entity might get summoned when the ritual is done, but hopefully you never get a chance to find out. Hide and seek is probably one of the oldest games we all can remember playing as a child. The thrill of the hunt to find your friends, or the fear of being caught by the one hunting, is something even adults seem to still get a rush from. Only problem, as adults, our friends are either not around or aren't very interested in playing hide and seek anymore. But if you still have that itch to play, I may have a solution for you. The Midnight game allows you to revisit your favorite childhood game, only with a little more fear and a little more risk. And the good news is you don't need to worry about trying to convince your friends to work out a schedule to play with you, as this game only requires yourself to play it. But as always, friends are welcome to join in. What makes this game of hide and seek so unique is the fact that you or your friends are never going to be the seeker. You will be summoning someone we all know to do that job. That being said, think back to when you were a child. Who was the boogeyman to you? Was he a monster who crawled through your window at night? Or was he a shadow who crept out from the closet while you slept? Regardless of how you pictured him, he will be your playmate for the Midnight game. And just like playing Bloody Mary, the only goal is simple: survive until morning. But be warned, once you start the game, you have to finish it. You can't leave or stop playing, and if you do, you die. I know it's a little dramatic, but stay with me here. To play the Midnight game, to summon the entity known as the Midnight Man, here's what you need to do. As always, you'll need to select a place to play. Typically, this will be in your own home, but ultimately, it's up to you if you want this to be your play area. While you'll have the advantage of knowing the layout of your own home and all the best places to hide, inviting a shadowy creature bent on finding and killing you into your home may not sound appealing to most people. So long as the place you're going to play in has multiple rooms and you're able to sneak around easily enough, you should be good. But what's most important is to have a wooden door in that space somewhere. What you'll need to gather before playing the game is a candle, a match or lighter to light it with, a piece of paper with a pen or pencil to write with, a sharp sterilized pin to draw some of your blood with, a lot of salt, and a watch. Now I'll say this right now, the salt is what you'll likely want to keep on you at all times. It might be the only thing that saves your life. Just before midnight, write your full name onto the piece of paper and prick your finger with the sterilized pin to draw out some blood and allow a few drops to land onto the name written on the paper. If you do happen to have friends who are wanting to play the game with you, they must do the same. You can all use the same piece of paper to write your names on, but you'll each need to have your own sterilized pin to draw out your own blood, and everyone must leave a few drops on the paper. Next, be sure to go around your entire playing space and make sure every single light has been turned off. When this is done and midnight is approaching, head to the wooden door with the paper with your names and blood on it, along with the candle and matches. Make sure the door is closed and then place the paper on the ground in front of it. Take the candle and place that on top of the paper, then light it. This next part is where your watch comes into play, as it's very important to get the timing correct here. You must knock on the door 22 times, with the 22nd knock taking place exactly at midnight. If you have friends playing along with you, they too must knock on the door at the same time as you, and ending their knocks exactly at midnight. Upon finishing the final knock, open the door wide, bend down to the floor, and blow out the candle. Immediately after blowing out the candle, you must close the door again, then relight the candle. The game has now started, and the Midnight Man is coming, and you need to hide. Pick up the candle and keep it with you. It's extremely important to keep the candle lit, because if it goes out, that will tell you if the Midnight Man is near and has almost found you. While the light draws him in, it also keeps you safe at the same time by giving you warning, so it's important to move around your play area and hide in different locations. Other telltale signs the Midnight Man is approaching is if the temperature in the room suddenly drops, if you can start to hear slight whispering getting louder, or if you spot a shadowy figure lurking around the room. If any of these occur, it's important to move quietly and find another room to hide in, but take great care as to not leave your play area. If your candle happens to go out and for some reason you can't light it again, this is where your salt comes into play. You have 10 seconds to relight your candle, but if you fail to do so, you must use your salt and draw a circle on the floor around you. The Midnight Man luckily can't cross the salt, so you should stay safe inside of it. This, however, doesn't grant you immunity. Should you taunt the Midnight Man from within the circle, or you fall asleep anywhere at any point in the night, he will come for you. I guess I'll also mention some of the other rules at this point too. As much as you might want to, never leave the play space. If you do, he'll stay there forever and wait for you to eventually return to finish the game, and he will not be happy you made him wait. Also, do not turn on any lights or use a flashlight during the game. These things will only provoke him and cause him to find you far easier. If it comes to using the salt, stay inside the circle until 3:33 a.m. This is when the game ends and the Midnight Man departs the playing space. You will finally be free to step outside your circle, turn on all the lights, and finally relax. Congratulations, you managed to survive the game. But with that being said, you may not be out of the woods just yet. You did invite the Midnight Man into your home, and he may return to play again when you least expect it. All of these games, while all sound fun to hear about, present an incredible challenge to many people's nerves. There are only a select few who would dare try many of these games, let alone the ones that require only one participant. They test us. They prey on our primal and childhood fears, and become something so unsettling, it's rare when anyone wishes to ever play them. Each one presents their own danger in a sense. Whether you want to believe it's something paranormal like the Midnight Man or Bloody Mary, or something more based in our reality like fire hazards, paranoia, and destruction of valuables, these games do present some sort of danger, one way or the other. Which is why I say this now at the end of the episode. Only play these games when you are of sound mind, have taken the proper precautions, and are confident you will not bring harm to anyone around you or yourself. Purely, these games are for entertainment value, and I would say not to attempt them, not for the superstitious possibilities surrounding them, but because they can indeed cause some sort of trouble for you. The games that require uncontained flames in the form of candles are probably the most dangerous. Those who also suffer from mental health issues, meaning things like paranoia or schizophrenia, depression perhaps too, might want to reconsider playing these games as to avoid putting yourself in a situation that may cause problems. I personally have never played any of these games, so I can't say whether or not they actually work. But I'm in the encampment that they more than likely don't cause anything paranormal to happen, and it's all in the player's head of what might be happening. There's a reason majority of these games are played in the dark, for an example. With our sense of sight being cut off for an extended time, and the thought of possibly summoning something evil or paranormal into our world, our other senses will become heightened, and we may think we see something lurking in the shadows that aren't actually there, or hear the wind outside somehow sneaking its way into the house, causing the player to believe they're hearing a light whispering or a cold presence of a ghost nearby, while all in reality, it all has logical explanations. I, however, am not trying to discourage anyone from playing these games. They are all perfect games to creep out your friends or family if you wanted something to do during Halloween this year, and that was my goal with this episode. This has been a kind of episode I don't normally do on this show, but I wanted to do something a bit more relaxed and fun that everyone could take part in if they wanted to do something this Halloween. With that being said, we are at the end of the episode, and if you enjoyed it and end up playing one of these games, or already have played one in the past, get in touch with me and tell me about your experience. I'd love to hear about it, and maybe if other people write in about the different stories of when they played these games and what might have happened to them while they played it, I might just turn it into a bonus episode for one of the show's off weeks. To reach out and share your story, the easiest way to do so is by emailing me at moonlightlorepodcast@gmail.com or direct message me on Instagram at moonlightlorepodcast. If you do have a few minutes, at the end of each episode, I ask you to give the podcast a good review on iTunes and subscribe or follow the show to stay up to date on future episodes. By reviewing and listening, you help the show grow and reach the ears of many more people, which in turn helps inspire and motivate me even more to bring a ton more stories about our strange world to you. Of course, though, the best way to help support the show is by sharing it with your friends and family. Hopefully by doing so, they'll listen to this episode and quite possibly want to play one of these games with you. I've also started work on the next series starting next week, and it'll be a good one, so you don't want to miss it. As always, I deeply appreciate you all for listening to the show. I've been seeing a huge increase in downloads lately, which is great, so keep up the awesome support, guys. Thank you so much. And of course, I hope you all have the best Halloween. Be sure to stay safe as always, and of course, have a lot of spooky fun. Until next time.